Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and a little time to do a bit of a mass make, a bit of a project. A couple of weeks ago I actually recycled a laundry detergent pod box into ephemera storage for myself, which then made me sort my ephemera out. And in doing so, I found out I've only got 2 belly bands left in my stash. So I thought, time to make belly bands. I'm going to make probably 10 bases, and then we might decorate 3, maybe 4 up with you, but the rest will then get decorated afterwards. So just sort of go through my process, just in case you've not seen it done before. Now, for all of my newbies out there, what actually is a belly band? Right, let's take a belly band. So this is your normal journal. For me, it's made out of A4 pages, which means that I have set heights for stuff because an A4 page folded in half is what I normally put into a signature. So I'm not going to give you this measurement because it will change on whatever journal you're making them for. But traditionally, a belly band would stick top and bottom on a page. I like mine slightly shorter than the page because I like it to stick to the page, not the actual edge, because sometimes it's on the actual edge, it might tear. And a belly band is there because then you normally take a journal card, a large one, and you can slide the journal card underneath once that's stuck in place at the top and the bottom. This gives you extra journaling space. Now, normally I would probably do these on a patterned page or patterned something. So because this is already writing space, I haven't got anything in here that other than coffee dye paper. But say that was a patterned paper, this would then turn a non-writable page after I put the belly band down and I've slipped the journal card in. It would then mean that I have space to journal. So, right, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. So that's just a quick update for those who have not come across journal. What am I trying to say? Belly bands before now. You see, one of those days going to struggle. So I normally make my belly bands out of book pages, and I normally get fairly modern or new book pages, because if I choose something like this, which look lovely, they're just so fragile. They're just not, if you tuck things behind them, they're not going to be strong enough. So I tend to use regular book pages. I try to pull ones out of books that are like reference books or catalogue type books or coffee table books, purely because I don't want any wording on here that is likely to be offensive in any way should it be left seen. Now, the height of your belly band will be determined by the height of your page. There is another option which I forgot to tell you. So traditionally belly bands go in this direction. However, you could have it, let's just use a strip of paper I just saw. You could have a belly band going in that direction, and then you could slide something in from there. So just so you know, there are variations, as with everything in the junk journaling world. So this is tall enough to fit onto one of my pages. I don't even mind if it's slightly taller. I can always cut it down. If it is quite a bit shorter, it'll still fit on your page, obviously, but then you're going to have to work out what you do with the space at the top or the bottom. It becomes more of a tuck spot than a belly band. As you can see, I've trimmed off the bit where I took it out of the book, and it's a really simple process, guys. All I tend to do is I just fold this into 3. Now, I'm not measuring, I'm just folding. What I do, however, is this fold here, I fold it so that this edge is actually folding up against the edge of the paper, because when I glue it, I can then have that effect. Now, I like to have these edges together, because if they're not, now I did make one for an example for you. Give me a second. I've got a pile over here I've already made because I just wanted to make sure I had one. Right, there you go. Okay, so this one here, where it's not all the way to the edge, when you're sliding a journal card in there, there is a chance it could catch on the edge. Don't worry about it too much, though, to be honest with you. As long as it's fully stuck down, we're fine. So, again, height of my journal page, or more or less, depending on what style you're doing. I fold it, I fold the other side over. So I fold it, then I fold the other side over, and then I take the longest side and fold it over the top. Don't get hung up on the fact that it doesn't fit. Okay, just don't get worried about that. Now I've got just some spare magazine pages here that I'm using as glue pages lately, because I've been doing quite a bit of harvesting of images for my, what are they for? My glue book and my collages. So I'm just coming in. I use this glue. It's called Pritt Stick. It's a brand I've always used. I'm very often asked which is the best glue to use. Not an answer I can give, I'm sorry to say. It has to be whichever one works for you, that's available in the country you're in, and also works within the atmosphere you're working. And I know that sounds a little bit of a long-winded answer, but what works here in Wales, where it's damp, may not work for someone, say, living in a very high temperature place, very dry. Say, I'm assuming Arizona is dry. So, and then I just take this, just a plastic cake scraper, to be honest. You could just be using a regular store card to do the same thing, something like this, a gift card, just to smooth it down, just to make sure it's fully flat, no air bubbles. Now this, because it's now 3 thicknesses of paper, isn't as thick as cardstock, but it's a lot more rigid and robust than what you would use if you just used one sheet of book page. As you saw earlier, I have made some already. This is one of the things when I'm using, I mean, at the moment, I'm using magazine pages for gluing on, but if I was gluing onto book pages, this is the sort of thing I do. So let's pull 1, 2, 3, let's pull 4 of those out. I'll do these ones later. You won't see me do those ones. So I usually pick the side that's the not the most aesthetically beautiful, and that goes on. This should never be seen because it's glued up against the page, top and bottom. So when you do attach this to a page, you only glue along there, and you only glue along there, and then that's glued to your page, which means you can tuck something underneath it. Now, for those of you who like the aesthetic of old book page, you have options. You could have coffee dyed your paper before you started your book page, or this is really thin and fragile. There's no reason why I can't just stick it onto here. So I'm going to be using this book page on each one of these. And then I'm very likely to be doing, what's the word? Vintage photo distress ink around the edges. So just wanted to make sure that you saw the whole process. Now, I don't bother cutting them to the right size. I just stick them on, and then once they're on, I just cut off the excess. I could equally come in and actually just glue this and lay them on top. So just my personal choice to get the world's biggest scissors out to do the world's smallest job. And because the book page is all glued together, and because it's got a certain thickness to it, you're going to be able to find it really easy to rest your scissors up against the edge of it. So let's get some of these stuck down. So we have a remarkably sunny day here in Wales today. A little bit shocked because we've had probably the storms the rest of the world seems to be suffering lately. We've been suffering as well. Really unusual weather conditions, especially for this time of year. I mean, I live in Wales. We expect it to be wet, but it's been horrendous. We've had flooding. We've had, well, I think same is to be said actually for America. I've heard several people say that they've had major flooding. That's just too sticky for me. Major flooding in the areas in which they live. So let's get this one. Now this down here, I'm going to stick it on, but I'm going to leave that bit hanging over as well, just so that I don't have to deal with it. I can just cut it off. Now, when it comes to the ephemera you'll see me using, I am just using whatever is in my stash. I cannot for the life of you tell you where every piece of ephemera came from, because like the rest of you, I have built my stash of ephemera or elements, so not ephemera, the elements I'm sticking onto stuff. I have built up that supply over years, and it's come from Happy Mail, it's come from buying stuff in charity shops or gift shops. It's come from recycling books. There's lots of different ways it's come into my stash, should we say. So now I'm not expecting this video to be hugely long, because it's not a very long technique, which is probably why I like it, to be honest. As you can see, I'm just cutting this edge off here. Now, I am not going to sew around these belly bands, although you could sew around the belly band if you choose to. I mean, there have been times when I've sewn around them and it's a really nice textural look, but not everyone has a sewing machine. There are silicone stamps out there that give you the same effect, or you can go in with a fine marker and just mark them. So I'm not sewing around them, but if I was, I would normally have decorated it and then sewn around it, or decorated all of the background, sewn around it, and then put the final embellishments on top. Totally your choice. Right, we've got that far. These can go into the stash. Now, something I do like to use quite often is washi tape. And I like washi tape because it gives a thin, easy, quick background for stuff that I don't have to worry about. So let's bring a piece of that in. So I've just pulled 4 washi tapes out of my collection. I use washi tape. I buy my washi tape wherever I see my washi tape. I do not trust washi tape. So basically, I always glue my washi tape before I stick it down onto the page. And I missed that one totally. There you go. I always glue my washi tape down using my Pritt stick. Once I put it on, I do go in. I'm using this. I can actually just use a store card. Actually, let's just use a store card because that's pretty much what most people would have. I've only got one of those cake smoothers because I happen to be a cake decorator as well. So, mind you, that whole line of my business has now disappeared. Thank you very much to the pandemic. But that's fine. I'm still in the creative world and I've always loved my arts and crafts. So maybe the universe just decided it was time for a change. So see what I mean? So quite quickly, you can give something a new lease of life, a new character. So just taking 4 strips of this. Does it matter whether I stick it down the left side, the right side? Nope, doesn't. Whatever you feel works best for you. Actually, let's just prove the point and put this one down this side. I'm a great lover of using washi tape or decorative trims, whichever you want to use. I mean, there are, if you're someone who does digitals, there are digitals out there of decorative trims. In fact, I've got a couple. I know Gail Augustinelli has got a couple. I think lots of people have got them. Okay, so basically know that they're out there, they're available should you wish to use them. Let's just take that one off there. I know this is a bit of a repeated process, guys, so as I always say, you control the buttons. Feel free to fast forward anything you're finding not that interesting. Now, I'm not doing it today. However, belly bands are a perfect place to use up things like lace. You could put a strip of lace down the middle of this. You could put a strip of fabric down the center. All of those things. It's a lovely surface to actually embellish. And because it's quite a robust surface, it will take quite a bit of weight. It's not like just a single book page. As I've said, we've already got 3 widths of book page. Right, this is a wider washi, which is pretty much as wide as that. So Actually, I'm going to tear this piece off, stick this piece to my bookcase. There's a whole line of washi tape stuck to my bookcase over there, purely because when I'm looking for a little bit of washi, that's exactly where I go to. And I wanted to make sure these roses were on here somewhere. So that was kind of my want for that. Now, I'm not doing any sort of stamping on here. However, stamping onto belly bands is another thing you could also do. Right, so we've already now got our foundation pieces started. A belly band can be as decorated or plain as you perceive it to be. Like if I was to put a strip of lace down the middle, it could be that I decide that's exactly as much decoration as it's going to need. So we've got the basis for our belly bands, right? So we've got book page. This one's covered up, but that doesn't matter. I think I'd like to put a little bit of music paper, if I've got some music paper. Just pulling in my scraps drawer. Oh, that's a convenient sized bit of that. Let's take that. Let's see, where can I put this? Running out of room here, guys. Running out of room. There you go. Right, I am actually going to just tear this right down the middle. I'm not overly concerned whether things are torn, not torn. I'm not overly concerned whether things are inked or not inked. Basically, I'm just mass making, and I'm quite fond of doing mass makes. So I'm just getting stuff down as quick as I can. Make sure there's words on this, it's the right way up. It'll have to be that piece because that piece is going there. Sorry, just thinking out loud. Something to consider though, if you're putting something on with words and it bothers you, make sure the words are the right orientation. That's one piece. So yeah, by mass makes, I'm literally doing as you're seeing here. If I didn't have the camera on, I would probably do all 10 of these at the same time. I would literally lay all of them out. I put washi on all of them. I put all my book page on them. I'd literally just work on 10. Some people do worry that, oh, my ephemera all starts looking the same. Actually, don't worry about it, because what happens is, do I want that side? I do want that side. I normally only put one belly band per journal. So I could make every one of my belly bands absolutely identical and it still wouldn't bother anyone, because only one person at a time would see the belly band. So don't get hung up on the fact that everything has to look absolutely different all the way across the board. So I'll just try to work out that I had it the right way up. Yeah, I do like that up there. I'm a bit of a person who sticks with a method. I tend to stick the same things in relatively the same places, the process that I'm using. Right, you're out the way. Now I've got my foundation for stuff down there. I will ink around the edges at the very end. I think we're done with the scraps. If I need scraps, I can always reach them. They're just behind me. And I'm going to start pulling in things now to see what I can use. Right, let's have a bit of a look. Right, I've got some labels here. Right, these are labels made in different ways. So what I've done is I got some rice paper that's already decorated, and I stamped the frames onto it with permanent ink, and then I cut them out, and that's how I've got this look, these labels. It's a way I use up scraps as well. Let's see which way does that want to go. That goes that way. So just really quick washi labels. Let's come in along here. And if it's wider than the belly band, I don't mind it being cut off. Like that one, ironically, is exactly the right width for that one. things like this would be far too wide, but I could put it on there and cut that off and then use it. Actually, let's do that. Let's just tear this down here. You could use a water pen to tear your washi labels down the middle. You just get a brush with water on it, or as I said, get a water pen and actually just wet down the middle, and you'll find that they come apart really quite quickly. The only thing you will find with what are these things called, rice paper, is there is usually fibers within them, and the fibers are the things that hold it together, and they're really, really tough. So you may find that you might struggle to actually tear them. Let's just fold that up. So which one do I want to put this on? Actually, that'd be quite cute up there. So hopefully everyone's doing okay. It's been very productive here for me, very busy, but then it's the start of the year. And it's funny because the end of the year and the start of the year always seem to be really manic for me. To trim off that little bit of a fibre there. If I remember rightly, there's one on here as well. There you go. So yeah, it's a bit manic, but lots of projects on the go. Very, very exciting. Some new stuff coming your way, which I'm going to be so happy when I can let the cat out the bag on that one. But not just at the moment. Now, these other labels in here are actually just book pages where there was images on them, and I've just stamped a frame around them, and that's all they are, guys. They're not special made labels. They're literally just bits of book pages. Oh, those are labels. Don't know what they're doing in there. I must have done a really quick cleanup at some point and just drop stuff in. Have a quick look. I'll see if there's something pink in here that I like. I'm guessing there isn't. Well, there kind of is. That might do there. Let's put that there. Now, when it comes to things like this, I'm going to use Distress Oxide Vintage Photo by Ranger, only because once this is on, I can't ink afterwards. I can't ink this piece when it's flat onto a surface. So things like that I do need to do slightly ahead of time. Right, and I don't necessarily need it up against the edge, but I do like it quite close to that edge. So that's those done. So that was just me grabbing those to show you those. So let's see what else have we got over here. Now, let's look at some tickets. Tickets are always a really good thing to do for belly bands because they're usually not that wide, and a lot of them come in strip form. So it does mean you can just pop them on a page wherever you want, or pop them onto a piece of ephemera like this. I tend to just trust my gut. I tend not to overthink when it comes to stuff like belly bands, because it just all seems to come together at the end, which I think is lovely. Right, that's another one. Oh, Port Talbot, that's in Wales. I quite like this with this colour. I might put that across the bottom, see if I can keep that number. As I said, don't worry if when you come to put into your book, you actually have to trim slightly at the bottom if you've made them too long. No one is going to come along and go, oh, look, that piece has been cut off. It was your decision. You decided to cut it off, as I would if this was too long for my page. So let's see if I've got a couple more tickets. This one looks like it needs something to calm it down. It's looking a little bit busy. That doesn't work for me. That does, because it's got the number at the top. Just going to give this one a bit of character, should I say. I think this might have been from a digital. It might have been from a digital by Rachel Bella Crafts, because it's got Welsh language on it, and Welsh is what I am, and the Welsh language is our language here. I don't speak it though. I was raised abroad, so I missed the whole schooling system when it came to learning to speak that our native tongue. Actually, there's one that's got yellow on it. I like the yellow, I don't like the white around it, so let's just take that off. Actually, I might leave the number on it. I quite like numbers. So let's just trim this down a bit. If it's a digital, which I'm sure that is a digital, I can always print it again should I wish to. Now, all I'm doing at this point is I'm just building a background onto my belly band. And then as soon as I've got enough of what I call a background done, I can come in and that'll stick some focal points on it. So this one's still bothering me slightly. And it's this expanse here. This is because there's text on the washi tape, there's text on the background, and that just looks really busy. I want to calm it down. I could come in with just some coffee dye paper. Have I got some to hand? Which I do have a bit of coffee dye paper. Let's just make sure that that's not a flat top edge. Right, let's put that in there and that will just calm it down. Just going to frame it out with a little tiny bit of ink. And then I think I'm at the point where we're possibly going to start decorating these up. Because as I said, we're just making a background at this point. So I'll pick up. Just trimming as I go. There you go, I'm happier with that now. That's given me a place for the eye to rest, should we say. I have to clean these scissors afterwards too. So, right, we've got our bases on there, we've got our backgrounds done. Let's start thinking about some feature stuff now. Now, these are just going into my stash, so I don't have any particular journal in mind for any of them, which means I can do anything or I could do nothing. Like, I could take this one, leave it in my stash, and then when I came to a specific journal, I could put a focal point on there. So the options are basically yours at this point. So I think, right, I want to come in and I'm thinking about adding a flower because this one's quite floral. So let's push those to one side. Let's just focus on one at a time here. So I'd quite like something. Now I bought these on Etsy. I know I bought these clear plastic labels on Etsy, although I do sometimes don't like the shininess of them, but I do like the fact that they're so clear. Right, that's got roses on it. That might go there. Let's put you to one side. Now let's see if I can get the back off the label. I'm usually okay with these ones. Famous last words. There you go. Put this in the bin immediately, because if you don't, you'll find it stuck to another project. That's what happens to me all of the time. I'll put it down, especially if I've got a butterfly that's a transparent butterfly. I'll put it down and then I'll find it stuck to something later on. Smooth that out. Now I'm gently rubbing this down. I'm not pummeling it to death. Now, one thing about having washi sticker flowers is you'll always have that whiteness of the backing of it. So what I tend to do is I tend to take my sponge with my vintage photo and I gently go over the top. It will darken the flower slightly, but as you can see, it does take away a lot of that of that outline, so that's fine. Right, let's have a quick look now. So I'm thinking that's not that far off done. I think I'd like a little label here. And as you all know, I'm a great fan of Tracy Fox labels. Tracy Fox is a British designer. She has an Etsy store called Love Junk Journals. I would put the link in, but I'm notoriously bad at getting links that work into the description box from Etsy. I think I'm going to stick with this one. It's appealing to me. So I do apologize, but it's Love Junk Journals and it's by Tracy Fox. I will endeavor to put a link in, but please forgive me if the link doesn't work. I don't know whether it's because I'm based in the UK and I'm dealing with a UK Etsy, and the rest of the world who's trying to open up that link is not in the UK. Right, we'll come back to Tracy labels in a minute. Okay, we're almost there with this one. Right, a product I did a review on, I believe it was last year, was these little miniature butterflies by Katie Sue Designs. They're double-sided. They come in, they come in a bright and a pastel. They're double-sided and they're pre-die cut, which I absolutely love. And I think that's the perfect thing. I will put a link to the video in which I did the review of these, and in the description box of that video, you will find all of the links, everything you need to know about these butterflies. And I use them so often, they're so handy. They do ship internationally around the world. Have they got, I think they've actually got an Amazon store as well as, I'm just going to ink around the edges to finish it off, as well as their own site. I know they ship internationally because I used to design for them. So, and we had many a discussion on shipping internationally. There you go. So that's the first one done. Let's pop you out the way, put you to one side. Right, let's choose another one. Let's choose this one. Right, I think I've got an idea for this one. Where did I put them? There you go. Right. This is my box that I make my little ID cards from. Here's the template and the pieces I use to do it. That's me. What's that doing in there? So actually, that might be a good. Let's use that one. So I'll put a link to the video where I made ID cards as well. There's always lots of links in my description box, guys. So if you're ever looking for anything, it's probably in the description box. Right, quite like that. I'm wondering whether I want rounded corners on that photograph. I think I do. Just taking a quarter rounder. There's no brand on this one. I had a question as to why do I turn the punch upside down to punch, and that usually is because I can actually see whether the corner has gone in squarely. So that's kind of what I'm doing with that. Right. I quite like that there. Now, I could easily put a bit of fabric behind this. Actually, no, I do quite like her up there. I'm just going to put a little bit of that vintage photo around the edge of here for no other reason than the edges of the card are really white. I'm going to use some art glitter glue. This is the brand. Only because it's really, really glues very quickly. And once it's on, it's on. I don't have to deal with drying time or anything like that. Like that right in there. Let's give a little bit of a press. I usually press it just for a couple of seconds, more so to make sure that the whole surface is in contact with the surface below, just to make sure that the glue squishes out underneath the piece I've just stuck on. Right, we obviously need something there, and we obviously need something there. What would I put on here? Let's have a think. Actually, I know. Right. I've got some of my button clusters, and some of them happen to be pink. I'm sure I made a video of making these button clusters. I don't know that I made a video of the book, though. I want something a bit darker. Actually, I wonder. These are just held on with double-sided tape. That's not bad. Let's leave that one sit there and see. Oh, let's take that one off there, put it back onto there, and pull this piece in. Oh, I like that a lot better. Right, let's put that to one side. You never know what I'll use next. Now, when you're putting anything like a button onto a piece of ephemera that goes into a journal, remember it's going to bulk it up. So if someone's going to be writing on the surface over the top, they're going to have to deal with the button. Just for your awareness, right? This is my old bottle of Fabri-Tac. I'm sure there's enough in here just to stick this down. I'm obviously using Fabri-Tac because I'm sticking down fabric. Oh, this is a very old bottle. As long as there's glue in this bottle, it's going to be used. I do know that you can put like nail varnish remover or acetate, I think it's called. Not acetate, acetone, to thin it down a bit. But what I really need to do is I just need to have the bottle upside down one day and squeeze it into my new bottle, and then all be good. Right, loving where that's going. Just want something up there now. I'm not sure I want a label. Maybe I want a number. Right, these are a mixture of just numbers I've stamped onto, like when I cut the edge off a book, sometimes I will actually just stamp onto it. Some of them are actually bits that come as part of ephemera kits. I was kind of wanting something long and thin. That's kind of long and thin. Let's stick you down. Just do the edge, it was a bit of a ripped edge. Right, this is very, very, very fragile paper. So let's see if I can do this without tearing it in half. I did do it without tearing it in half. Right, you can go there. And I did quite like that book number 710. I think that's going to go up there. Now I kind of feel that needs something, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure what that something is. Let's have a little look in here. This was a whole ton of stuff that just came in other things, like Happy Mail or bundles of stuff that were sent to me. And I'm looking for something that maybe is a little bit of an odd, actually. So change of mind again. Let's see if I've got a postage stamp that will work. She doesn't look like she works on an oil rig, bless her. This just looks a bit too fussy. I'm wondering whether I need... I wonder. It needs something. That might work. These are again just stamped words onto the edges of book pages. If I've been taking the edges off old book pages, I tend to not throw them out. I just tend to use them for stuff like this. Making my own labels. I'd rather do that. And then I've got things that are a little more uniquely mine in my work. Okay, it's very rare you see me do a diagonal, but I think in this instance it required it, because I'm not hugely in love with this area of this belly band, but you know what? It is what it is. So I'm just going to come around the outside and give it a little bit of ink. Now you don't have to do the ink, and you don't have to do the ink in vintage photo either. Say you've got a theme to your journal that's got a colour, use that colour ink if you've got it. Like I know currently Gail is doing a whole series of bee journals, so a lot of the time she's been using, what's it called? I think it's called liquid amber or something, or warm amber. It's a Ranger colour of ink, and it's a beautiful yellow. So that's our second one done. Right, what am I doing for time? Oh, we're doing okay. So, right, this one's quite bare, and I wanted to see whether I could manage to get a bird on one. I don't normally put birds on belly bands because they're usually too big, but I don't actually mind adding a bird and then, unfortunately, cutting half of it off. I'd quite like one that's an upward bird though. Like something like that. Let's just pull that one in as well, see which one it suits best on. Let's just let that one sit and I'll have a think about that. That's beautiful. It makes it look very Christmas. I think it's the pine cones. Oh, that's not going to work. That's quite cute. I think I'm going to do those two. I don't think I have a single solitary belly band with birds on. Now, this here over time will bother me because it's very white. So I'm just going to come in and I'm gently going to rub my vintage photo over the top of it, and the same here. Now, if you had coffee dyed book page, that wouldn't be an issue. That was just me dealing with it. Also, I could go around this and actually ink around the edges of the bird, but I'm not going to. I don't mind the white on that one. So let's put the little birds down, trying to be really careful not to rip parts of their anatomy off, even though I am about to probably go and chop part of their anatomy off. That goes there. Right, look away if you're squeamish. It was quick and painless, I promise you. There you go. See, that looks nice there. Right, this one needs to go up here. Need a fresh piece, or else I'm going to get stuck. And I don't want my image to tear. Right. Sorry, Mr. Bird, it's operation time. And a little snip off there. Yeah, it's weird. It's not very often I use things like birds. I have been known to use fish, however. I did a fishing journal once, and actually fish really lend themselves quite well to doing long, thin things. Right, this one's not far off done, so let's move you to one side a second and just focus on this one a moment. I'm just going to pull in a label. It's a bit too dark. Or it's not dark, it's a bit too in your face. That one might go up there, actually. It's not purple, but it doesn't have to be purple. That might be okay. Let's put some ink around the edge of this. It'll hide a multitude of sins with my fussy cutting. Let's lift that up so I can see that it's straight. It is. kind of, maybe. I can't pick things up today. Right, I think those two are pretty much done. I feel this is quite an expansive purple. And I'm wondering, let's pull in these again, let's move those out of the way. Right. That doesn't feel right. That's okay there. That's just a little snippet of something that's a label. Let's just put this on with art glitter glue, because this happens to be something that is a bit thicker than paper. I quite like up and down elements. I'm going to call that one done. This could do with a word down there, but there's a point at which you need to stop until it's going into the journal. This desperately needs something. I think this might be an opportunity to use something quite big and bold. That doesn't appear to be it. Looking at that, that's very similar to that. Would I put a mushroom on there? That's a thought. Maybe not. Actually, I don't mind that one. And I quite like the repetition of shape. Let's just do that one. And then, guys, I think we're done. So hopefully anyone out there who's not familiar with the belly band and how to use it, what it's for, the reasons why you would have them, how to make them, hopefully that's explained everything. Put that kind of there. Let's fold you up, put you ready for the, oh, caviar glue, Griffiths, caviar glue. I need to buy some more of that too. I'm running low on the old, don't go into there. I'm running low on the old art glitter glue. I mean, that bottle of art glitter glue though has lasted me for what seems like forever. So just going around the edges. Now, these are intended as belly bands. You could, however, put these on the edge of a page and make them a tuck spot. And yes, I will show you what I mean by a tuck spot in a second. So that out of the way, over there. Where's my journal gone? Where did I put that journal? All right, so if we go back to here, lid on the glue. I'm terrible for leaving lids up, right? Right, here's the page. So, our intent is that this goes there and a journal card or journal cards or something goes underneath. So just for anyone who doesn't know, you would glue along the top, you would glue along the bottom, you would then stick this top and bottom to your page. Now, as you can see, this page is shorter, so I would trim this off first, put that on there, and then that would give you the space. You can slip in a journal card or maybe a couple of tags, or an envelope, a letter, folded paper, whatever you want. However, if I took the same thing and I stuck it on the edge of a page, it could then become a tuck spot, which means I'd glue it there, all the way down there, sorry, let's turn this over, so I'd glue it there, all the way there, all the way there, stick it to the edge of the page, and then it becomes a tuck spot. So that means that things could get tucked underneath it to use the journal. Likewise, you could do it at the center of the journal and tuck it from the outside. But be aware, if you do it that way round, things could fall out. And also this one specifically, because it's got this on it, if it's there, it will cause you more problems with bulk than it would if it was there or in the middle of the page. So there you go. So that was a quick little video. Well, I'm hoping it was a quick little video anyway. We managed to make 4 belly bands, and I've got another 6 bases which I'll do off screen. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully for our newbies out there, that just helped you with something. And also, as I said, for those of you who just want to use up book pages, if you just prep these and just leave them already like this, you can make them whenever the fancy takes you. Also, if you're someone who's giving a gift of a book, if you to actually back this with a bit of coffee dye paper, that makes a beautiful bookmark. You could even put a hole and maybe an eyelet through it and put a dangle on it to finish it off. You could even chop the top edges there to make it look like a tag, but it could still be a bookmark. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that, and until next time, I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. I'll see you again. Goodbye now.